Wetsala. Wirala. Wetsala. Wirala. Manja. Viva Resutlik, viva. Viva Resutlik, viva. Viva Kosas, viva. Viva Sasko, viva. Viva Resi, viva. Wathinta abafazi. Wathinta imbokodo. Viva the ANC Women's League, viva. Viva the Free State Province, viva. Viva the Free State Province, viva. Viva President Nelson Mandela, viva. Viva President Nelson Mandela, viva. Viva President Cyril Ramaphosa, viva. Amandla. Greetings to the leadership of branches, ketapele ya the region, the leadership of the PC led by Comrade Junior, the leadership of Gauteng that arrived here led by Comrade Ntsako, who's the chair, the leadership of the Northern Cape, led by its peers, Comrade Pumla, the leadership of the ANC that is present here, most importantly, members of the ANC Youth League who came here out in numbers. Comrades, today we are given a very difficult responsibility. Our responsibility today is not only to celebrate the spirit and the efforts and the work that the first democratic president, President Nelson Mandela, has done for South Africa. But also today, as we celebrate President Nelson Mandela, who selflessly fought against an oppressive system of apartheid, fought for the liberation of people who are black in majority. But today we are here to call the Youth League and young people. It's a call for action. We are here to declare today that what President Nelson Mandela has done, it is an unfinished business. Our call is a call for action. We are utilizing the name of President Nelson Mandela, a name of a warrior, a name of a fighter, a man who had many options. He had an option to become a professional, he had an option to be co-opted by an apartheid system. When those options were on the table, a lawyer by profession, a former SG of the Youth League, a former president of the Youth League, a man who fought, who became part of a generation of 1944 when the Youth League was formed and later on established a program of action that will ultimately deliver this democracy that we achieved in 1994. Now we're here to celebrate a fearless man, a man who stayed in Rowan Island, tortured and punished, fighting for our freedom, fighting for us to be here today. A man who was declared a terrorist, both in the country and international. Now we're not celebrating just anybody. I know most of us who are 2000 who were not there during apartheid, we can easily say that, why are we celebrating apartheid when we're not there, when it was fought, when we are here as 2000? Maybe some of you don't even know who is President Nelson Mandela. But before us, who stood before you here, leading an organization that is 81 years old, there are people who arrived before us, who fought for the fruits, the small enough fruits of benefits we are enjoying, the political freedom that we are enjoying today. It was fought upon by warriors like President Nelson Mandela. That's why we've declared this lecture today and called it that. We are fighting for an unfinished fight. Unfinished fight. Because the generation of Nelson Mandela fought for political freedom. Our generation were called to action, to fight for economic freedom now, not later. Economic freedom now, not later. Because we believe as a generation that political freedom alone, it is not enough. It does not put bread on the table. It does not change high level of inequalities. Our people post-1994, majority of them are still excluded from economic activities of the country. High level of unemployment in this country is still the face of the youth and the women, and majority are black. Our people are still in poverty. The same people pre-94 who were owning the means of production in this country, who were drivers of the economy in this country, 31 years later, are still the same people who are in charge of our own economy. Now our generations are saying that nako ya tlala e fedile. Batho ba ba tshwereng ke tlala ha ba kgone ho nagana. When you have an empty stomach, you can't think. How do you think with an empty stomach? We are saying that as this generation that we call for action. Nizoyithola kanjani nihlele khoneni. We are saying one generation of leaders are saying that those that fought for us from the 80s to the 70s to the 60s until 94, including those that drafted our own constitution that we're enjoying today, we are saying thank you very much. Allow us to take the revolution forward. You must be at the back, we'll lead moving forward. We are not saying they've not done anything. We are saying that they must not hold on to it. They are now denting their legacy. They must allow us to embrace them, and they must allow us to lead this country forward. The time is now. The youth of this country are the ones that must resolve their own economic problems. We are not a generation of cowards. We are a generation of economic freedom fighters now, not later. We are a generation that says that the revolution cannot be postponed when over 60% of unemployment in this country is young people. The revolution cannot be postponed when majority of our people are squeezed in squatter camps and townships, dying of hunger every day. The revolution cannot be postponed when majority of our infrastructure is well used and destroyed by illegal foreigners. We are saying that the revolution can never be postponed when those that we've deployed as administrators and those that have deployed in government went to offices and became corrupt and stole from the poor. We are saying enough is enough. The revolution cannot be postponed when over 80% of municipalities here in the Free State are collapsing. The revolution cannot be postponed when there's no service deliveries in our townships, in our villages, in our towns, everywhere else. When we've deployed people through the people's votes at the people's parliament, and they arrive there, they sleep in offices, drink teas, and employ their girlfriends and friends at the expense of our people. We're honoring Mandela, and we're saying that we have an unfinished fight. We're calling the youth for action. You can sit at home and celebrate when your future is being destroyed. Majority of you here have no trust funds. Your only trust fund that you have is the government of the people, which is led by the ANC. It is the only one that can resolve your socio-economic problems. If the ANC is destroyed, it means your future is destroyed. If the ANC is voted out of power, it means your future is voted out of power. It's upon us to defend and remove all those dirty elements and take back the ANC to the people. There is no any organization that can resolve the problems of the people of South Africa. They've done their rallies everywhere. Every time they speak in their rallies, they don't say to the people of South Africa what they can do for them. All they do is speak about the ANC. ANC that, ANC this, ANC that. It is only the ANC that says that we've done this much and more. Self-correct and resolve the people's problems. The people of South Africa vote for wrong parties because they no longer believe that the ANC who are removing them out of the ANC, who are taking charge as councillors, as mayors, as MPLs. President Nelson Mandela did not want to be released in wrongdoings in the ANC. Never agree to be co-opted in wrongdoings. The renewal against crime. We don't want a police department of people who are friends of criminals. Because our people are losing hope in the police system because the police are friends of criminals. We must clean them out until there is no one who's a criminal left. We are told that over 1.1 million of youth have applied to become police officers. Now there is no vacuum. They must clean them out and be replaced by the youth. The youth must guard their streets and their townships. Anyone who has ever called or drinks with criminals must not form part of our society. Because our people expect the state to defend them against criminals. Now, abatshwarwe botsotsi abatshwarwe. Dikebekwa di tshwarwe. We are also told that the way we are dispositioned from our own economy, even the listed companies in the JSE, we own less than 3%. We went to the ANC leadership ourselves. We went to a national conference of the Youth League. We took a resolution. We said that the only way to address the injustices of the past is to restructure the economy. The economy must reflect majority of South Africans which are black in majority. We said the minerals below the soil must benefit the people of their country. We said as the Youth League that not more than 70% of raw materials must be exported. We said the ANC government must introduce export quotas in the interest of industrialization of our own economy for the benefits of our people. And our research tells us that if we industrialize our economy and put export quotas, there will be no unemployment in South Africa. Now, unemployment, it is because we have leadership that is not decisive. Leadership amakwala. We want eldership that will wake up in the morning and say that no important critical mineral in this country must leave this country. These minerals must remain here to create enough opportunities for the youth of this country. Employment can only be internships and temporary jobs. The face of poverty in this country can't be black or majority are poor when they own the best minerals in the world. Somewhere. I'm saying China as a country is industrialized on the basis of our own raw materials in Africa. Why is China industrialized with our own raw materials and are creating jobs for their people when the owners of raw materials are in poverty? Why must we fear America? America called Mandela a terrorist until he died. They did not remove Nelson Mandela as a terrorist, America. Why must we fear a country like America that has no raw materials? If they are putting high tariffs here, we must block our minerals. Simple as that. Americans are dependent on Africa. Why are we not fully implementing Africa free trade agreements? Why is Africans not trading among themselves in the interest of Africans? It is because we fear to take important decisions in the interest of our people. Now this youth league, that is not a youth league of cowards, was saying enough is enough. We're inspired by a generation of Nelson Mandela. We're taking responsibility ourselves. We're saying that we are a generation that will deliver our people away from poverty and inequalities. We're a generation that will make sure that it delivers our people into a society where everyone competes without them being dispositioned because of the background they are from, that has been created by the injustice of the past, which is apartheid. You and me did not choose to be dispositioned. We were dispositioned by an oppressive system of apartheid. Me and you, we did not choose to be born from poor backgrounds. We were born inside them because of an apartheid system. Now, it is not our decision to be poor, but it's our decision to liberate ourselves. Now, as we're inspired by the spirit of Nelson Mandela, we're saying that we are going to liberate ourselves. We're going to liberate ourselves from those internally who are gatekeepers of capitals and externally who are gatekeepers of capitals. The fight that we're going to have is both internal in the ANC and external. Because we're fearless youth. And we're going to unite all the youth of this country from all different races, whether you are black, white, Indian, colored, as long as you agree with us on the agenda of a total liberation of our people, then you must join the struggle to fight for our people. We're going to engage everyone, whether you're an Afrikaner farmer, whether you're an Indian farmer. We're going to engage even the West extremist right-wingers and tell them that change your lives, change yourselves, come and join a revolution for the sake of our people. If you don't do that, this revolution is going to happen with you or without you. And when the revolution happens, no one is going to stop it. It's going to be led by us, the youth of this country, for the liberation of our own people. Now, all those things, you can't achieve them if you're not united and conscientized. You need a solid, united ANC Youth League that will be able to do that. Marlabona Gervuta, since we have taken charge, Hausara Mashata. All those that were making noise are nowhere. We've set over 40 regional conferences. There were no fights, there were no chairs throwing. For the first time in history, the Youth League elected its leaders united and focused on the program at hand. We said 9 provinces. Even the media will tell you, they've never recorded any provincial conference of the Youth League, unlike in the past, where they were chairs throwing. Everyone was united because we're a generation that is focused. We're going to the second historic NGC of the ANC Youth League here in Northern Cape. The second historic NGC of the Youth League here to further assert and define our program towards the ANC NGC in December. We're not going to go to the ANC NGC without a mandate. We're going to the ANC NGC with a mandate from branches which we are going to convene in September in the Northern Cape. Because that NGC of the ANC is going to be defined by the ANC Youth League. The ANC Youth League is going to define that NGC of the ANC. And part of the definitions we're going to tell them NGC is that when we go to 2027 to re-elect or elect leadership of the ANC, the leadership of the ANC in this country will be elected on consensus. There is not going to be contestation of conferences here. Those that are taking people's monies or posting people every day thinking that they're doing for 2027. There is no luxury for the ANC to fight anymore. The ANC must close rank and renew itself. The leadership in 2027 will be elected on consensus because the youth league will drive the agenda. The ANC can't afford to have another breakaway. The ANC can't afford to go to another conference where all you do is to sing about individual and forget about the people's interest. The past conference of the ANC, all the delegates that you sent they did there is to sing about leaders and elect and go home. And forget the important task that they are the parliament of the people. They must decide on our people. Now we're dealing with an abnormal situation. When you deal with an abnormal situation where you are sitting at 40%, when you fight, what are you fighting for? Because you are dispositioned from power. Now all of these comrades who are fighting each other in corners, what are you fighting for? Because you are at 40%. I wonder also in the Western Cape when they fight, what are they fighting for? Because we are at a stage where we must close rank and unite. Because I repeat what I've said before, I will repeat it today again. No one will vote for an organization that lacks integrity. Because every message depends on the integrity of the messenger. Now, as this generation, in honor of Nelson Mandela, we must restore the integrity of the ANC and make the ANC the organization that people were ready to join and die for again. Make the ANC the people's choice again, because the ANC can no longer harbor corrupt individuals. Because every message depends on the integrity of the messenger. And the integrity of the messenger is in question. That's why we're at 40%. Now, as the soldiers of the ANC ourselves, every time the ANC is under attack or at its weakest, it is the youth of the ANC that goes door to door, join hands with anybody and say that we are saying we are changing the ANC. And the ANC that you must not neglect of Nelson Mandela, Oliver Tambo, Anton Lembete, and many other leaders who came before, Peter Mokaba, is the ANC that as the youth league were restoring. That's why, as a youth league, coming to 2026, we're saying that we don't want less than 70% of people who are not young, who are councillors or mayors. Because we're taking full responsibility of our own future. Now, every message depends on the integrity of the messenger. Thank you very much.